Today we're talking with Shannon Gillette. She runs the Gillette Group here at Real Broker, who is a top 10 team in their market and close over $100 million a year in sales volume. And Shannon built this team through social media and video. And today she's going to give us a complete breakdown of her entire Instagram and YouTube strategy that she used to grow her business and grow her team. Let's hop in. Do you mind by starting off, tell me a little bit about how you got into the real estate business in the first place, and what does your business look like today?
I built my business the non-traditional way, where most of my clients call me direct from YouTube and Instagram, asking me things like, are you taking on new clients right now? Will you list my home? And it really started back when I started my career in new home sales. So from 2006 to 2014, I was selling new homes here in Florence, Arizona. And I was so frustrated by the real estate community not marketing their listings, because when I sold new homes, I could only sell for the builder. But when people would come into my sales office, they oftentimes had homes to sell and they would hire a real estate agent. And I just saw the same thing happen over and over again, where the real estate agent would put a sign in the yard, take some photos, and put the home up on MLS. So when I left new home sales, I made a promise to myself in 2014 that I was going to film a video for every home I list, and I was going to be on the video. So I really got into listing marketing and then building my personal brand on Instagram.
I love that. All right, 2014. So you beat me by 2 years. I started doing video in my real estate business 2016. So you're definitely one of the old school, OGs when it comes to video. I love that. And what are your top sources of business today for your business? Is it social media and the videos that you do?
Yes, I would say definitely all of my clients really come back to Instagram or YouTube in some way. So if I were to take a list, we sold and closed over 130 homes over the past 12 months. And if I were to take a list of all those clients, if I wasn't active on Instagram and YouTube building that personal brand, I don't think I would have had a majority of those clients, because it's so powerful building your personal brand on Instagram. And it takes a lot of courage, right? And I started doing this before it was cool. Like, it was really weird back in 2014, 15 to open up your Instagram to the world and show people your dog and your kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's take a deep dive into your Instagram. What's your overall strategy with that? Are you focused on Instagram Reels? Are you focused on posting behind the scenes, family content, listing tours? Like, what's your kind of content strategy, I guess, for your Instagram account?
Yes, well, Instagram has been such an incredible lead source for me. I'm honored to have close to 50,000 followers, and I started at 0 followers, just like everyone else. But first, I opened up my Instagram to the public, and I am really intentional to build my personal brand on Instagram. I think if an agent is only using Instagram to post just sold, just listed, and homes for sale, they're probably not going to get a lot of clients calling them to list their home from that. And I tell agents all the time, everyone has a personal brand. You have to write down 3 to 4 things that make you besides your job. And that's what I've done. So if someone follows me on Instagram, they'll see that I'm very consistent. I post on my Instagram stories every single day. I also will post on my Instagram feed. And you won't just see real estate. Obviously, that's a big part of my life. But if you follow me on Instagram, you should know that I'm really involved in my church. I'm a mom of 3 young boys. I'm married. We like to travel. We have dogs. And I lean into my personal brand. And as real estate agents, we have to understand we're never going to be for everyone. And, there's probably people out there that are maybe offended by my content. For example, I have 3 dogs. I could post content about my dogs, and if somebody hates animals, they could be like, I'm not going to work with her because I don't like animals, right? So we're not going to be for everyone, but we will attract the right clients for us by really showing the world who you are besides your job.
Yeah, I love that. What kind of content do you post for your Instagram stories? Because I struggle with that. That's something I want to get into, posting a lot of stories every day, and I kind of don't always know what to post. What's your advice for when it comes to Instagram stories?
Well, I don't think people are talking about Instagram stories enough. I think a lot of the stuff we see out there as business owners and real estate agents, it's all about reels and feed posts and content shoots. But I don't hear a lot about Instagram stories. And that is the most powerful aspect of Instagram, in my opinion, because People are going to Instagram to escape reality. Instead of watching TV, they're going to Instagram. And your Instagram should be almost like a reality show where people can see a behind the scenes of your life. So I have a goal every single day to post at least 5 Instagram stories.
Wow.
So this is a behind the scenes of my life, and each day is different, but it could be something like bringing my followers along with a little 15-second clip of my morning workout, or maybe a behind the scenes of my kids dropping my kids off at school, or behind the scenes of a podcast I'm listening to that day, or real estate, showing homes, a beautiful kitchen. So showing people who I am, be like besides just my job, showing my family. If it's Sunday, maybe you'll see like a behind the scenes of me at church, because that's a huge part of my life. So I'm not afraid to let my followers in on a behind the scenes of my life. And when you do that and you post 5 stories a day, you're top of mind for your followers. Even if you only have 20 followers, that's still 20 people that will probably think of you when it's time for them to buy or sell, or if they're referring an agent to one of their friends or family.
Right, absolutely. Okay, that's good advice. So 5 a day, so pretty much all day long. Kind of
Minimum.
every couple hours, you're posting something new on the stories.
Yeah.
That's good advice. And what about like your cadence with the other content? What's your strategy for how often do you post to Reels, or just make a like an image post on there?
Well, one thing that has really helped me, because I am very busy, I'm spread very thin. I not only lead a team, but I'm actively in production with clients, showing homes, listing homes, plus I have a family. So it can be really busy in my life. And I could easily have the excuse that I don't have any content to post, or I don't have time to stay consistent on Instagram. So one thing that I do every other week, I make a commitment. I've made a commitment to myself to do batch filming. So I found a local studio here in my town where I go in every other week. I sit in front of a teleprompter and I knock out a bunch of like YouTube content, maybe frequently asked questions for my clients, and then reels, like quick, like 15 to 30-second talking head reels. And those get a lot of great engagement on Instagram. I think it's important to have that professional content of you talking into the camera so people can think of you as, you know, that knowledge broker of your town and that expert. So I always have a folder of content ready to go. So I try to mix up a little bit of like that professional in studio content, a little bit of my family, maybe travel. And sometimes I'm just sitting in the front seat of my car and I have an idea and I'll just talk into the camera and post that as well.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, like I'm trying to get to that point personally, where I can just post consistently, and I definitely struggle with that. I'm starting to incorporate editors and interviews so I can get more content out there. So let me ask you, do you use any kind of software to help you post all your content across all these different platforms and kind of schedule your posts ahead of time?
A lot of people ask me that. And although I do have help in other areas with like assistants helping me with content on YouTube, things like that, Instagram is something that I've always managed myself. No one has access to post on my behalf. I've never used a scheduling platform. So everything someone sees on my Instagram, that is all me. That's all my posting. I try to answer every single DM I receive, which I receive a lot of DMs having, you know, close to 50,000 followers. But it's really just it's not organized at all. It's not like I have content buckets where I'm like, oh, Tuesday is market update. It's just kind of like posting what I'm feeling led to post that day. And if it gets too much real estate, I'll be like, kids, come over here. I need to get your picture, or let's do a reel together, or get a picture of my dog. Because I really, ideally, for every 8 posts, I want to have at least one of like my personal life. I don't want someone to follow me on Instagram and feel like it's a nonstop commercial,
Right.
like just being sold, like buy a home, all of that. Because I think a lot of people, that if they're using their Instagram more of like a sales tactic or commercial, you have to think of it. If you were following someone on social media that wasn't in real estate, maybe you were following a car salesman. If a car salesman was only posting their cars for sale, you would unfollow that really fast, because every time you open up your Instagram, you would feel like you're being sold to. But if a car salesman leaned into their personal brand and maybe showed their favorite hiking spots and their family, and you really built a brand that can be trusted, you know, that know, like, and trust, you may still follow that and be entertained, like the behind the scenes of car salesman life. And then that car salesman is the first person you think of when it's time for you to buy a car, and the first person you will gladly refer to your friends and family, because you're like, oh, Steve, I know Steve. If you're going to buy a car, you have to buy it from Steve. And it's so cool when you meet someone in person and they know everything about your life. They're like, how are your kids? How are your dog? That's when you know you're doing Instagram well, if people feel like they know you and they've never met you. But you cannot build that brand if you're only posting house photos.
Right. Yeah, that makes complete sense. You definitely need to build that relationship with them to some degree as well. And that's what I love about video. Video is fantastic at just building relationships, and people can kind of see the real you much more so than just like a photo somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's dive into your YouTube channel if you don't mind. Tell me, like, what is your YouTube strategy? You've actually got a pretty unique YouTube channel when it comes to real estate agents. What's your strategy when it comes to YouTube?
Well, my YouTube started just with my desire to do more for our sellers.
Mm-hmm.
You will rarely ever meet a seller that is selling their home for fun. They usually need to sell. Maybe they had a job transfer, or they need something smaller or bigger, or a life change. Like, they are entrusting us as real estate agents to get their home sold. And the best way to sell a home is through marketing and through video, in my opinion. So my YouTube started with listing video marketing. So I've made that commitment to myself to film a professional listing video for every home we list, no matter what the price point. And I'm on every one of the videos, because when you go on your listing video, you're able to tell a story of the home. Every home has a story. And something I've started doing with my listing video marketing lately is something called lifestyle first video marketing, where if I'm listing a very basic home, maybe a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, $300,000, builder basic upgrades, nothing truly like scroll stopping on that home. I start with lifestyle first, because buyers care sometimes more about lifestyle than they do the actual home, like what type of kitchen countertops that home has. So in some of our listing videos, you'll see maybe half of it is just drone of the lifestyle, talking about the area, talking about the amenities, talking about the neighborhood. And that way, that listing video is living on YouTube forever, and it's still relevant 2 years from now. So starting with lifestyle first video marketing, super important. That's one thing that we have a lot on my YouTube channel. But then you'll also see more lifestyle things of me taking people along to some of the local hotspots, restaurants, taking my family along. I mean, we did a video where I took my family on the train to the Grand Canyon and took our videographer along. So you'll find that. And then I have also gone on a journey to create frequently asked question, like buyer guide, seller guide videos, to where our clients are informed every step of the way. We have a video of like, hey, your home's under contract, here are the next steps. So those are the main types of things you'll find on my YouTube, and it's been such an incredible resource to get buyer and seller leads.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's see, this one looks like a new construction community. Some of these look like listings. What's your strategy, I guess, with that? Or like, what percentage are new construction versus your own listings? And do you ever do videos of other people's listings, or do you primarily just focus on your own?
Well, most of the listing videos are our own team's listings, but every once in a while we may have a cool property in our town, and we also get asked, which is so crazy. This is actually a crazy story about the power of YouTube. So I was out in our town. I live in Queen Creek, Arizona, and this guy came up to me and he goes, "Are you the realtor from YouTube?" And I was like, "Yes." And he goes, "I want you to come film a video of my listing. Like, I'm going to have my real estate agent reach out to you." I think that's so powerful that even homeowners are like, "Hey, can we get the Gillette Group out to film a video of our home?" Because our YouTube videos are getting thousands of views. We have listing videos with over 100,000 views. And we're being very intentional with how we write the story of the video, how we tag it, to where if you Google any neighborhood in my town, odds are our YouTube videos will come up on the front page of Google, on the top of YouTube, because of how we're writing these stories. So lots of listing videos, and then that's going to be a majority of what you see on the YouTube. But we don't forget about people also want to know what it's like to live in the town. So taking our videographer along with us, just to see different fun things to do in our area.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And so finding a videographer is definitely something that people struggle with. Do you have any tips or advice on finding a local videographer?
Yeah,
What's your process for finding somebody?
That's like step one, because you can't do anything without a good
Yeah.
videographer. And when I was first starting out with video, when I left new home sales, I didn't have a lot of money. And it was very hard to invest in professional video, but I just had something, tell me like, Shannon, don't give up on this. It's going to pay off. Obviously it's paid off, but when I first started out, I found a videographer that was just like a local college kid that was just starting out in video. So he was going to school and then working with us, on his days off. And that worked out really well for several years. And there were sometimes I even had to pay my videographer on a credit card. Like I couldn't afford the video, but I knew that my sellers deserved video marketing. We shouldn't be taking shortcuts by just listing some photos online. There's no better way to market a home than through video. And then over the years of the journey of video, we are shooting so much content as a team. We couldn't just have one videographer. So we found a local media team in Arizona that has a whole team of editors, videographers, because they can keep up with the amount of content we're filming.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm kind of at that point right now as well, where I need 2 video editors just to keep up with the pace that I want to move forward with, so that they're not the bottleneck for that.
Yeah.
And so you said you post all your own content on Instagram. Does your company that you hired, do they post the content on YouTube for you? Do they do the thumbnails and titles and descriptions and all that stuff for you as well?
Yeah, so the media team will film the content, deliver it to me, edited, ready to go. And about 2 years ago, I made a huge change in my business. For my whole career, was like, I can do everything myself. I'll get up at 4 a.m. to make my YouTube thumbnails. And I first hired a coach through the Tom Ferry organization. Mm-hmm. And my first call with my coach was life-changing. She's like, Shannon, tell me what an average day looks like for you. And I didn't even have an assistant. I was selling, 100 homes a year, with my team without an assistant, doing all of these things. And she's like, Shannon, you have to figure out your hourly rate. You shouldn't be making YouTube thumbnails at 4 a.m. So she advised me to hire a virtual assistant, which was very hard for me at first, because I was like, oh, I don't have enough work for the virtual assistant. I don't want to pay somebody to do this. I can just do it faster myself. So I've had a virtual assistant now for 2 years, and it's changed my life, because she's able to do those things like the YouTube thumbnails, upload, tag the videos, do all of the things.
I love that. Can you dive a little bit deeper into that? Because I actually kind of need that right now as well, a virtual assistant. Where do you find a virtual assistant from? How do you pay her? Is she hourly or like per job?
Well, I feel like everyone needs a virtual assistant. And basically, I mean, obviously day one in real estate, you can't necessarily afford a virtual assistant. But if you look at all of your tasks throughout the day, and if you're doing anything that is less than like your hourly rate, someone else should be doing that for you. So now I can concentrate on what I do best, like filming content, meeting with my clients, getting their home sold. And my coach actually helped me interview and find our VA. And it's just been an incredible asset to our team, because now she is just handling everything. And I started her off as part-time, thinking, oh, I don't have enough work for a VA. But within a week, I was like, my mind was blown. I'm like, oh my gosh, everything's just getting done for me. I now have more time to spend with my family and things that I enjoy doing. And I brought her to full-time. But you can get a full-time VA for less than $2,000 a month. It is a no-brainer to have one, especially if you're selling and closing a lot of homes.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of the next step for me. I only handed off editing videos maybe 6 months ago, and yeah, I think a VA is going to be the next step for my own business. Nice. How do you handle leads for your business that come from social media? I feel like that's kind of a pain point for a lot of agents, because the leads are building a relationship with you. They see you in the videos, and I know for myself, there's always some friction when they want to work with me, and I'm just like, hey, can you go work with this team member of mine or work with this other agent? How do you kind of handle that, or do you work with all your own clients that you generate from your social media?
Well, once you start building a brand on social media and YouTube, and I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, it takes years of consistency, but once your phone starts ringing and once those DMs start coming in the text, sometimes multiple a day, saying things like, I just watched your YouTube video from 2019. Will you list my home? My family and I are moving from California. Are you taking on new clients right now? Like, the brand is so strong because you don't even have to sell yourself. they're like, hey, will you take me on? I think that is just the best place to be as a real estate agent, because I don't have to spend any time cold calling, door knocking, begging anyone for business. But it can be overwhelming because these leads are coming to you while maybe you're driving in the car, you pick up the phone, and like you have to be really organized because they can fall through the cracks. And before I got organized and before I had help, I'm sure a lot of them did fall through the cracks. But the good thing is a lot of them follow me on Instagram, so I'm always top of mind, and they see the value that we will provide them, whether it's through selling their home or buying a home, that they will continue to follow up with us, which is amazing. And because I do lead a team, I never wanted to have a team, but it just got to the point in my life where I had to build a team for quality of life. Because when I was a solo agent up until about 2020, I was handling every client myself, every home inspection, every late night showing, every open house myself. And I have a family, like I have a life. I can't just be nonstop realtor 7 days a week. And I had to build my team for quality of life. And it has been a game changer, and we've been super intentional to bring on the best quality agents. For every one agent we bring onto the team, we probably have about 40 applicants. Like, we have a very highly sought after real estate team here in the Phoenix East Valley. We're one of the top 10, numbers wise. We have a TV show that airs on Fox. Like, it's very highly sought after. So I can be very picky with who I bring on the team, and I know our clients are taken care of. So ultimately, I think it hasn't been a big issue where maybe I'm not their direct contact and the team member is, but sometimes I am their direct contact throughout the whole process.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Well, that's great. You got so much leverage in your business, and you kind of, it sounds like you're really living that life by design, not by default, approach to it. What does your average day look like today? Like, when you wake up in the morning, kind of a work day, what's your day look like?
Well, I mentioned earlier, I'm spread very thin. I have a lot of things that have to get done in one day. So that means I have to be incredibly intentional about every minute of my day. I have to be disciplined, consistent, and organized. And I have to take out any like time wasters. So I do not watch any TV. If people are like, hey, did you see the latest episode of this? Like, I have no clue what they're talking about, because when I wake up early, I start right away. I actually have an accountability partner, a trainer that comes right to my house, and we work out in the morning at 6 a.m., get my workout in the beginning of the day, because if I wait and try to do it later in the day, it'll never get done. And right from like 7 a.m., it's just full mode. Like, every minute of my day is scheduled, very intentional. That's why I do the batch filming every other week to get that out of the way. So I always have content. And then I schedule things in even with my family. So we have a lot of non-negotiables, and we started something called Friday Night Family Night, where every Friday night we do something fun together and check out a new hotspot. So it's become like really popular on Instagram. People are always like, you guys should do this for Friday Night Family Night. And then it's something I can look forward to all week, that Friday night we're going to do something fun with the family. And it's cool that it's a non-negotiable. And same with like any of my kids. I have 3 boys. They play sports. Like, I'll never miss any of their sports games. I treat their things like I would treat a $3 million listing presentation. We're not going to call that seller and say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't make it. And we should be treating our family the same way.
Yeah, I love that. Any tips for how to get to that point where your day is just completely packed full of appointments? Like Sharon's a lot like that as well. I've seen his schedule, and it says bam, bam, bam. He's got 10, 15 appointments a day. Any tips or recommendations for somebody who's trying to get to that level of productivity?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And it's so important, because 87% of real estate agents fail within the first few years. And I think it's very difficult to remain disciplined and consistent, because you don't necessarily see the overnight results. Like, you have to like grind for years before you start to get the calls. And it could be really easy to just waste your whole day doing nothing. And then at the end of the day, you haven't sold any homes because you're not intentional with the things. So making sure that everything is on my calendar with like time blocking, and again, like just not wasting time. I also, since Instagram is such a huge part of my business and life, like I do spend a lot of time on Instagram, engaging with other people, liking other posts, DMing, like getting ideas. I'm always going through reels and saving ideas. So then when I go to film reels, I have that content available. So I think that is very powerful. And one trick that has really helped my business is really making like a great community amongst the real estate community in your local market, like following them on Instagram, liking their posts, commenting. Building those relationships with other real estate agents is huge, not only for, of course, real estate referrals, but also like when it's time to go write an offer on their listing, like you already know them, like your offer is going to go to the top. Plus, getting access to off-market inventory is huge. Our team, we always tell our buyers, we are not the type of real estate agent that's just going to sit around and wait for a home to pop up on the MLS. We're trying to find off-market inventory for you through our relationships. And so I'm definitely spending some time on Instagram, but yeah, it is tough. I think it's really important for agents to also have a coach or an accountability partner to help ensure you're on the right track.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a bit of a risky move there for me anyway, trying to purposefully get on Instagram just to engage with other people's content, because it's so easy just to get carried away. Next thing you know, 20, 30, 40 minutes has gone by. Do you have any tips for that? Like, do you create a list of agents that you want to engage with, or do you time block engaging that? How do you not fall into that trap of doom scrolling when you're getting on Instagram to engage with people?
I know it can definitely be tough. That's why I've kind of gotten off TikTok, because TikTok was even worse. Yeah, I think I've trained myself almost to like any downtime. I just open my phone for like 10 minutes, scroll, like, and content, and like communicate with other people. But I think time blocking, if you're like, hey, 30 minutes of intentional time on Instagram, because I don't cold call, I don't door knock, and video is prospecting. Like when you're posting content, you are prospecting to a wider audience. And when you're engaging with people, you're prospecting as well. So instead of spending 2 or 3 hours cold calling, I may spend that time on social media instead, because I just get better results from that.
Yeah, I love that. So one question that I saw Sharon actually ask on Instagram, and I love this question. I want to ask it to you. If you could only work 1 hour a day, what would you do with that 1 hour?
I would film content. I would get in front of the video camera and just film as much content as I can to post on my Instagram stories, Reels, YouTube, because I don't think there's anything better, for your business that you can be doing right now in 2024. And so many agents are still scared of the camera. And I just tell them, like, you have to get your face on camera. There's no better way to build your brand than getting your face on camera. And it's not going to be comfortable at first. Nobody in the history of the world has ever just like filmed a video the first time and just been 100% natural. It's like anything, we get better with time, and it's an acquired skill set, right? Like learning how to speak in front of the camera, writing scripts, all of that. But everyone starts at zero. Everyone has to start somewhere. And video is not going away. So if somebody's just pushing it off, waiting for it to go away, it's not.
Right. 100%. What I tell people is that video is not the future. Video is the present. It's right now.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. And in terms of like personal development, do you have any favorite books or podcasts that you may recommend to somebody that's on that journey right now and trying to get to this point where they can have 15, 20, appointments a day?
Yes. Well, I am obsessed with personal development, sometimes a little bit too obsessed, because when I'm driving in the car, when I'm driving to listing appointments or meeting with buyers, like most of the time, instead of listening to music, I'm listening to a podcast. So it could be several types of different podcasts. It could be like a church sermon or Tom Ferry, Jason Pantana. There's so many great real estate podcasts. And the cool thing about it is you can literally type in a topic and get so many great resources. And then I love Audible to listen to books on tape. One book I just finished is called Be Seen. The author's name is Jen. And it is such an incredible book because it talks about the power of being seen. And we are all a lot of people are scared to be seen, get your face out there. But for every day that you put off filming content and posting on your YouTube and posting on your Instagram, that's another day that a potential client could go out and find somebody else to help them. And we are posting so we can meet more clients and help them achieve their real estate goals. So it is so powerful. The average US adult is spending 2 hours a day on social media. So if you're a real estate agent not actively on the platform, you're definitely missing out on a lot of business.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Shannon, if anybody wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, I would love for everyone to connect over on Instagram. So obviously I'm spending a lot of time there. I answer all the DMs. So my Instagram handle is at Shannon_Gillette.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I think it's a great interview.
Thank you so much for having me.